In the grand solemn chambers of the White House, President sat at his desk, immersed in a high-stakes meeting. The air was thick with urgency as advisors debated pressing national issues. Suddenly, the heavy doors swung open and a young aide stepped in, holding a simple handwritten letter. Mr. President, you have a letter here addressed to you from a citizen named Sofia Martinez, the aide announced, extending the envelope. Curiosity flickered in the president's eyes as he took the letter, noting the child's delicate handwriting. He carefully opened it, unfolding the fragile paper. As he began to read, the room fell silent. Faces around him reflected shock and disbelief at the heartfelt plea contained within the simple lines. The scene transitions to a small, overlooked town nestled along a harsh, unforgiving border. Once vibrant and bustling, the town now lay in ruins. Empty streets, shuttered storefronts, and crumbling buildings. The air was heavy with despair, and fear lingered in every shadowed corner. Sofia Martinez, a 12-year-old girl with bright eyes and a resilient spirit, watched her hometown decay. Her father, a respected truck driver known for his honesty, had been a pillar of the community. But his refusal to transport illegal shipments for ruthless criminals had cost him his life, brutally taken in front of their home. Since that tragic day, Sofia and her mother, Maria, lived in constant fear, the gang's iron grip leaving no room for hope. The once close-knit community was now fractured by violence and oppression. Businesses were closed, families had fled, and the promise of a future seemed lost. Yet in the midst of this darkness, a single letter from a brave young girl would ignite a spark of hope that could change everything. Daily life in the town was a relentless nightmare. Ramon Ortega, the feared gang leader, and his cohorts controlled every aspect of existence. Surveillance was constant, with informants lurking in every alley and corner. The gang's presence was suffocating, their violence a tool of oppression. Any hint of resistance was met with swift and brutal punishment. The once close-knit community now lived in fear, neighbors wary of one another, and trust was a scarce commodity. Children like Sofia had no future. Schools were closed, businesses shuttered, and dreams extinguished. Maria, Sofia's mother, did her best to shield her daughter from the horrors outside, urging silence as the only means of survival. "We must stay quiet, Sofia. Silence is our only protection," she often said. But Sofia's spirit could not be quelled. She yearned for change, for a life where fear did not dictate their every move. One quiet evening, under the dim glow of a kerosene lamp, Sofia sat at her small, worn wooden desk. Determination etched on her face, she took a deep breath and began to write. Each word was a testament to her courage and desperation. "Dear President, if you're reading this letter, please come help us. Our town is no longer a home. The adults are terrified and we, the children, have no future. I don't know if this letter will ever reach you, but if no one does anything, nothing will ever change. Sincerely, Sofia Martinez." Her heart pounded as she folded the letter, tucking it securely into her jacket pocket. This single act of bravery was her last hope for a better tomorrow. The next morning, under a bleak, overcast sky, Sofia made her way to the bus stop. The town's only bus driver, Tom, a weary man with kind eyes, greeted her with a nod. She reached into her pocket and handed him the letter. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Tom asked, concern etched on his face. Sofia met his gaze, unwavering. "I don't have any other choice. Please, Tom, you're the only one I trust." Tom hesitated, the weight of the decision pressing down on him. He knew the risks. If the gang discovered he was helping, the consequences would be dire. Finally, understanding the gravity of her request, he took the letter. As the bus rumbled out of town, carrying Sofia's fragile thread of hope, both felt the immense risk of their actions, but neither could turn back now. The bus traveled along dusty, winding roads, the letter passing from Tom to a hesitant postal worker in the next town. Each stop was a potential threat, as gang members eyed the letter suspiciously, searching for any sign of defiance. The postal worker, burdened by fear and duty, took the letter, narrowly avoiding interception by a group of intimidating men who questioned his every move. Driven by a sense of responsibility, he continued the journey, the letter inching closer to its destination. Through a series of cautious hands, the letter traversed towns and cities, each handler risking their safety to ensure it moved forward. The journey was fraught with obstacles, narrow escapes, covert exchanges, and the constant fear of discovery. Yet the letter's passage symbolized a persistent thread of hope, weaving its way toward the heart of the nation. In a bustling newsroom, seasoned journalist Laura Green received the letter amidst a stack of routine correspondence. As she scanned the heartfelt plea, her eyes lingered on Sophia's earnest words. Recognizing the significance of a child reaching out for help, Laura felt a surge of compassion. This wasn't just another story. It was a cry for help from a forgotten town. Determined to amplify Sophia's message, she began to investigate, knowing that this letter had the potential to ignite national attention and change the course of their lives. Back in the White House, the president sat at his desk, the letter still open before him. His advisors presented the situation with increasing urgency. "Sir, intervening in this volatile region could destabilize the area further," one advisor cautioned. "The gang's influence is extensive, and there's a high risk of retaliation," another added. The room was filled with tension as debates raged. The moral imperative to help a child in distress clashed with the strategic risks of intervention. The president's mind raced, weighing the potential consequences of action versus inaction. Finally, his resolve hardened. "The greatest risk is doing nothing," he declared firmly. "If a child is brave enough to ask for help, then we must be brave enough to act. Initiate the plan immediately." Within hours, federal agencies sprang into action. A covert investigation team was deployed to the town, blending in with locals to gather intelligence on smuggling routes, hidden warehouses, and corrupt officials aiding the gang. Simultaneously, a special task force prepared for a decisive raid targeting Ramon's headquarters. The Department of Urban Development drafted emergency relief plans, ready to provide essential supplies and repair infrastructure upon the town's liberation. The rapid deployment underscored the urgency of the mission. Federal operatives worked around the clock, their commitment unwavering as they navigated the complexities of the operation. The air was thick with hope and determination, each team member driven by the belief that their efforts could restore peace and order to the beleaguered town. As the teams delved deeper into the town's underbelly, they uncovered that it was not just under the control of Ramon's gang, but was a strategic hub in a vast transnational criminal network. Corrupt local officials had facilitated the gang's operations, providing protection and resources that made the mission even more perilous. The intelligence report sent back to the president contained a dire warning. "Sir, this isn't just a town under siege. It's a critical transit point. Failure here could have serious repercussions." The president reviewed the report, his resolve unwavering. "We're not just fighting gangs, we're fighting to restore faith. I won't let Sophia or any child wait a moment longer." Back in the White House, the president sat at his desk, the letter still open before him. His advisors presented the situation with increasing urgency. "Sir, intervening in this volatile region could destabilize the area further," one advisor cautioned. "The gang's influence is extensive, and there's a high risk of retaliation," another added. The room was filled with tension as debates raged. The moral imperative to help a child in distress clashed with the strategic risks of intervention. The president's mind raced, weighing the potential consequences of action versus inaction. Finally, his resolve hardened. "The greatest risk is doing nothing," he declared firmly. "If a child is brave enough to ask for help, then we must be brave enough to act. Initiate the plan immediately." Within hours, federal agencies sprang into action. A covert investigation team was deployed to the town, blending in with locals to gather intelligence on smuggling routes, hidden warehouses, and corrupt officials aiding the gang. Simultaneously, a special task force prepared for a decisive raid targeting Ramon's headquarters. The Department of Urban Development drafted emergency relief plans, ready to provide essential supplies and repair infrastructure upon the town's liberation. The rapid deployment underscored the urgency of the mission. Federal operatives worked around the clock, their commitment unwavering as they navigated the complexities of the operation. The air was thick with hope and determination, each team member driven by the belief that their efforts could restore peace and order to the beleaguered town. As the teams delved deeper into the town's underbelly, They uncovered that it was not just under the control of Ramon's gang, but was a strategic hub in a vast transnational criminal network. Corrupt local officials had facilitated the gang's operations, providing protection and resources that made the mission even more perilous. The intelligence report sent back to the president contained a dire warning. Sir, this isn't just a town under siege, it's a critical transit point. Failure here could have serious repercussions. The president reviewed the report, his resolve unwavering. We're not just fighting gangs, we're fighting to restore faith. I won't let Sofia or any child wait a moment longer. Ramon Ortega, the gang leader, began to sense that something was amiss. Unusual activities and the increased presence of federal teams in the area raised his suspicions. He convened a meeting with his most trusted henchmen in a dimly lit warehouse. His eyes, sharp and calculating, surveyed the room. Something's happening here, he growled. We need to strike first before they make their move. Gather everyone you can. If we don't act now, everything we've built will crumble. The men nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Ramon's paranoia had heightened, driving him to take more aggressive measures to maintain control and eliminate any threats to his dominance. Undeterred by the rising threats, the federal teams continued their infiltration, gathering crucial intelligence. They moved through narrow alleys and hidden passages, meticulously documenting every aspect of the gang's operations. Despite Ramon's intensified control and the ever-present danger, the operatives pressed on, their commitment unwavering. The tension in the air was palpable, each day bringing new challenges as the gang tightened its grip on the town. The federal teams navigated increasing threats, knowing that their mission was becoming more perilous with each passing moment. Yet their determination to bring peace and justice to the town remained steadfast. In a chilling display of power, Ramon ordered the abduction of several key townsfolk to send a brutal message. Under the cover of darkness, gang members roamed the streets with grim determination, selecting victims to instill fear and assert their dominance. Sofia lay asleep when the commotion woke her. Rushing to the window, she saw her mother being dragged into the back of a truck. "Mom!" she screamed, her voice piercing the silence. But her cries were swallowed by the night. The house felt unbearably empty, her mother's sweater draped over a chair, a haunting reminder of her helplessness. But Sofia's despair quickly transformed into determination. "I can't wait. My mom needs to be saved. This town needs to be saved," she whispered to herself, her resolve hardening. The abduction of Maria Martinez was a personal tragedy for Sofia and a strategic strike against the entire community. News of the abduction spread swiftly, igniting fear and anger among the townspeople. Families huddled together, fearing for their loved ones' safety, while whispers of rebellion began to circulate. Sofia knew she couldn't stand by. Her father's legacy of integrity and her own burgeoning courage fueled her resolve to take action, no matter the risk. Determined to save her mother, Sofia made her way to the temporary base of the federal investigation team. The base, though modest, was a hub of activity as brave residents began cooperating with authorities. Standing before the commanding officer, her eyes blazing with determination, Sofia declared, "I know where my mom is. I can help." The officer, initially taken aback by the presence of a child, recognized the unwavering courage in her stance. "We'll save them, but you have to promise to follow our instructions exactly," he said, his voice steady. Sofia nodded without hesitation. "I promise." Her bravery inspired the team, adding a personal stake to their mission. They knew that saving Maria wasn't just about dismantling the gang, it was about restoring hope to the entire community. Under the cloak of night, unmarked vehicles rolled into town, their headlights piercing the gloom. The special task force, clad in black, prepared for a coordinated assault on Ramon's stronghold. The air was thick with anticipation as operatives moved into position, their breaths steady and focused. As the main door of the gang's headquarters was blown open, operatives surged in like a whirlwind. Ramon roared, "Get them! No one escapes!" Gunfire erupted, the sharp cracks echoing through the halls. Flashlights sliced through the darkness as operatives moved swiftly, securing room after room with precision. Ramon, ever the cunning leader, attempted to flee through a hidden passage, seeking the underground tunnel he had used before. But Sofia, guided by memories of her father's deliveries and the town's hidden paths, led the operatives to block his final exit. An operative shouted, "Freeze! Drop your weapon!" Ramon smirked defiantly, raising his gun in a last-ditch effort to escape. But before he could fire a single shot, a precise shot rang out, striking him down. "Game over," the operative declared, clamping cuffs onto Ramon's wrists. The leader was captured, marking the end of his reign of terror. As Sophia's mother and the other captives were led out of the stronghold, their hands trembled with residual fear. But as they stepped into the light, tears streamed down their faces, no longer carrying pain but relief. From a distance, Maria spotted her daughter, her eyes filled with love and pride. Running towards Sophia, she threw her arms around her tightly. "You did it," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "You brought the light back to all of us." Sophia smiled, though silently acknowledging that this victory was not hers alone. It belonged to everyone. The town had risen together, their collective bravery and resilience overcoming the darkness that had once consumed them. The town erupted in joy as Maria and the other captives were freed. The oppressive silence was replaced by cheers and laughter, a stark contrast to the fear that had once dominated. Families reunited, embracing each other tightly, and the community felt a surge of hope they hadn't experienced in years. The immediate threat had been neutralized, but the path to recovery had just begun. Federal reconstruction teams arrived with trucks laden with essential supplies, clean water, food, medical kits. They began rapid repairs to the town's infrastructure, fixing roads, reopening schools, and restoring utilities. The distribution of supplies was met with gratitude and cautious excitement. For the first time in years, the town felt the stirrings of a new beginning. The tangible efforts of rebuilding signaled a shift from survival to renewal. Residents actively engaged in rebuilding efforts, their unity stronger than ever. At the revitalized town square, an older man stepped forward, his voice trembling but filled with emotion. "I've lived in fear for so many years. I used to think that if we stayed silent, they would leave us alone. But today I realize silence is never the answer." His words were met with a ripple of applause, growing louder and more confident with each clap. Sophia stood beside her mother, listening as hope quietly made its way back into the hearts of the townspeople. The community's proactive participation and regained sense of purpose reinforced their resilience and commitment to rebuilding their lives together. Energized by their recent victory, the residents held community meetings to plan the town's reconstruction. Voices filled the room with discussions about needs and aspirations, a stark contrast to the silence of the past. "We need a new school," a teacher suggested, her voice steady with hope. "And a community center where our children can play safely," added another parent. These meetings emphasized the importance of communication and shared vision in rebuilding, showcasing the community's proactive approach. Ideas flowed freely as residents collaborated to create a comprehensive plan for their town's revival. The collective effort highlighted their unity and determination to restore their community. Swift progress marked the town's transformation. Shops reopened, their owners eager to restore normalcy. Schools were rebuilt, ready to welcome students back. The community center, once a dilapidated building, was brought back to life with vibrant activity. Children laughed and played in the newly paved streets, their joy a testament to the town's resilience. Sophia, alongside a group of children, painted images of doves and rising suns on the crumbling facades. Each stroke of the brush was a symbol of hope and renewal, turning desolate walls into canvases of optimism. The town's physical transformation mirrored the internal healing of its residents, each rebuilt structure standing as a beacon of their collective strength. Key buildings like the community center became bustling hubs of activity, hosting events and celebrations that fostered unity. Above its main entrance, the town erected a sign with bold, hopeful letters. "Together we rise." Sophia stood beside her mother, gazing at the sign with pride. An elderly woman approached, gently taking Sophia's hand. "We used to think we were powerless," she said softly, "but you reminded us that even in the darkest times, we can still find the light." Maria knelt down and embraced her daughter tightly. "You did more than I ever dared to dream, Sophia. You didn't just save me. You saved this whole town." Sophia smiled, her voice steady but humble. We did it, Mom. All of us together. Months later, the transformed town held a special ceremony in the revitalized town square. The newly restored Sophia Community Center stood proudly, a beacon of their collective effort. As the townspeople gathered, their eyes bright with renewed hope, a helicopter descended, landing gracefully among them. The crowd hushed as the president stepped out, no grand entourage in sight, standing humbly within the circle of those who had once been forgotten. The story of this town is a reminder to us all, the president began, his voice carrying over the crowd. A small act, a flicker of light, when nurtured, can illuminate an entire community. Today, I don't just see a town reborn. I see a future where we all believe that nothing is impossible. He turned to Sophia, who stood beside her mother, her eyes shining with quiet pride. You've taught us a lesson we must never forget. A courageous heart can change the world. As the president spoke, the townspeople laid the first bricks for a new school, a hospital, and several other rebuilding projects. The day was not just a celebration of physical restoration, but a testament to reclaiming trust and hope. The town flourished with new buildings, active community centers, and a renewed sense of purpose. The president's visit left a lasting legacy of hope and transformation. The streets, once eerily silent, were now filled with laughter and conversation. Doors that had long remained shut were flung open, welcoming new life into the community. At the town square, a special ceremony brought everyone together. The American flag fluttered in the golden sunlight, a powerful symbol of new beginnings. Sophia and her friends ran and played along the newly paved streets, their laughter echoing through the air. The community center buzzed with events and celebrations, a hub of unity and joy. A worker from the Department of Urban Development noticed Sophia painting a wall. He crouched beside her and asked, "What are you painting?" Sophia pointed to a bright sunrise stretching across a blue sky. "I'm painting our future, a day when we don't have to be afraid anymore." The man nodded, a soft smile crossing his face. "You're absolutely right. But to make that happen, we all need each other, don't we?" Sophia grinned. "I think we can't do it alone. But if everyone works together, everything can change." Within weeks, the town transformed. Roads were repaired, schools rebuilt, and the hospital began to take shape. The community center, once a symbol of neglect, now thrived with vibrant activity. Above its main entrance, the sign, "Together We Rise," stood as a testament to their collective strength and resilience. Sophia stood beside her mother, gazing at the sign. An elderly woman approached, gently taking Sophia's hand. "We used to think we were powerless," she said softly, "but you reminded us that even in the darkest times, we can still find the light." Maria knelt down and embraced her daughter tightly. "You did more than I ever dared to dream, Sophia. You didn't just save me, you saved this whole town." Sophia smiled, her voice steady but humble. "We did it, Mom. All of us together." Sophia and her friends ran and played along the newly paved streets, their laughter echoing through the air. The American flag fluttered in the golden sunlight, a powerful symbol of new beginnings. The town, once a forgotten shadow, was now a place full of laughter and life. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the town, Sophia sat by the mural of the sunrise she had painted. Her eyes drifted toward the horizon, filled with dreams of a future where fear no longer ruled. The mural read, "We have found the light again," a bold phrase painted on what was once the town's most desolate wall. Sophia's story is fictional, but the lessons it carries are profoundly real. In life, we may sometimes feel too small to make a difference. But like Sophia, with a single act and a spark of belief, you can start to change the world around you. We hope this story has touched your heart and reminded you that no one is ever too small to create something extraordinary. If you found this story meaningful, please help us spread its message by liking this video, sharing it to reach more people, leaving a comment with your thoughts or sharing a story that has inspired you, and subscribing to our channel to stay connected with more meaningful stories in the future. Sophia and her friends continued to thrive, their laughter a constant reminder of the town's transformation. The American flag, now a symbol of hope and resilience, fluttered proudly in the golden sunlight, marking the beginning of a new chapter. Together, the town's people joined hands in the glowing light of sunset. a powerful symbol of their rebirth and reclaimed hope. Together, we can make this world a better place.